Most people see rejection as failure, as proof that they're not good enough. But what if we flip that thinking? What if rejection is not the enemy, but the greatest tool for building inner strength? This is where reverse psychology meets Stoic philosophy. In this video, we're diving into 13 powerful mindset shifts inspired by both reverse psychology and the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius Epictetus, and Seneca lessons that will help you stop seeking approval and start transforming pain into purpose. These aren't surface-level quotes. They're practical, often uncomfortable truths, the kind that sharpen your mind and strengthen your heart. So if you've ever been rejected, ignored, or underestimated, this one's for you. And if you find value here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We explore Stoicism, self-mastery, and the art of turning setbacks into stepping stones every single week. Now let's begin. When someone ignores you, your first instinct may be to reach out, to fix it, to explain, to remind them that you exist, that you care, that you matter. But you must resist this urge, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. You don't have to chase people who've made a conscious decision to disregard your presence. That's not where your energy belongs. Let silence speak on your behalf. Silence isn't a weapon. It's not coldness. It's clarity. Your dignity doesn't live in someone else's attention. It lives in the way you hold yourself when that attention is gone. Someone not texting you back is not a signal for you to try harder. It's a mirror quietly revealing how much of your identity still depends on external validation. You don't need to keep knocking on doors that never open. Sometimes the most powerful response you can offer is none at all. Redirect your energy inward, not with resentment, with intention. Read the books you've been postponing. Learn a new skill not to prove your worth to anyone, but to remember your own. Reconnect with people who see you, not because they need you, but because they value you. Use the quiet they gave you to become louder inside. Because every time someone withdraws from you, they unknowingly hand you an opportunity to choose yourself. Silence is not a lack of words. It is the presence of restraint. It takes strength not to explain yourself to those who have already decided to misunderstand you. It takes courage not to justify your absence to people who never noticed your presence. And it takes wisdom to realize that just because someone stops reaching for you doesn't mean you've lost anything. Not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Sometimes the absence of noise is the beginning of a deeper signal, one that comes from within. Let go of trying to be understood by those who never listened. Let go of performing worthiness for people who measure you by convenience. Let go of waiting for someone else to validate the way you love, speak, or simply exist. When you stop chasing the right people, stop running. They never saw you clearly anyway, but they didn't notice the weight you were carrying. They didn't ask what was behind your silence, your smile, your sacrifices, and now they're gone, or worse, indifferent. That stings. But here's what stings more: staying in that pain when you have every reason to evolve beyond it. Not everyone who walks with you is meant to finish the journey. Some people are only meant to teach you how to walk alone. And you don't need applause to make it real. The Stoics taught us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When someone ignores you, you may imagine stories that you are not enough, that you failed, that something is broken within you. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. If you crave affection from those who withhold it, you will always feel bankrupt even in a room full of people." Epictetus would gently tell you, if someone does not value you, that is their opinion, not your truth. In Stoicism, the wise path is not to force connection, but to live in harmony with nature, including the nature of people. Some come close, some drift away. You are not here to control the current, only to steer your soul. So when someone pulls away, don't chase. Return to your inner citadel, that quiet place within you no one can take. When someone rejects you, whether it's in love, in work, or in a passing conversation, you are being invited into one of two responses. React out of ego or respond from awareness. Ego wants drama. It wants to be seen, to be heard, to prove itself right. It thrives in emotional turbulence. But awareness is quiet. There is real strength in refusing to be pulled into emotional chaos, especially when you're expected to lose your cool. Because now they've not only rejected you, they've also pulled you out of character. They've turned your peace into performance. And you'll walk away wondering why you feel even worse. They might forget the rejection, but you will remember your reaction. This is where restraint becomes your superpower. You can still feel hurt. You can still acknowledge your disappointment, but you don't have to make it public. You don't need to prove anything in that moment, not to them, and not even to yourself. Self-worth isn't built in the heat of confrontation. It's built in the coolness of restraint. One of the most tempting emotional responses to rejection is chasing closure. You want to know why. You want a reason. You want the conversation, the explanation, the apology. But sometimes closure is just another name for control, a desire to wrap the pain in a narrative you can live with. Here's a hard truth. Some people won't give you that. And it's not your job to force it. Let go of the need for their clarity. Choose your own instead. Because the longer you chase someone else's explanation, the further you drift from your own center. You don't need their story to heal. You only need your stillness. There's a myth that being strong means being loud, dominant, quick to clap back. But real strength often looks like the opposite. It's composed, grounded, almost boring on the surface. You're not weak for staying calm. You're not passive for walking away. You're choosing yourself, not your emotions. In a world that rewards noise, your silence becomes magnetic. The Stoics were masters of calm. To them, power didn't lie in wealth or reputation, but in one's ability to govern the self. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Rejection, then, is never the problem. Your reaction is. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, used to journal to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wasn't theory, it was practice. He was rejected, criticized, and betrayed in palace halls. Yet he trained himself to pause to see every insult as a test of his discipline. The Stoics taught that our emotions are natural but don't have to be obeyed. Anger may rise, sadness may visit, but they are guests, not rulers. So when someone ignores you, breaks your trust, or pushes you away, the most stoic thing you can do is return to your center. Ask, does this change the kind of person I want to be? If the answer is no, let it pass like a storm in the distance. To remain calm is not to be numb, it is to be free. Rejection doesn't just hurt, it lingers. It doesn't just knock on your heart, it settles in your mind like an unwanted guest. You replay conversations, revisit texts, rewrite endings that never arrived. But at some point, you have to make a choice. Will you let someone who walked away keep living in your thoughts, rent-free? Or will you choose to evict the echo and make room for something better? Letting go doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means refusing to keep suffering after the moment has passed. The rejection already occurred. You don't have to carry it every day like luggage. The mind becomes what it repeats. And if what you repeat is someone else's silence, distance, or dismissal, then you're handing over your peace. When you let rejection take over your mind, it becomes your identity. And the longer you hold on, the more it distorts your vision, not just of them, but of yourself. Remove their voice from your inner dialogue. Delete the hypothetical argument. Stop rehearsing the scene where you finally say what you wish you'd said. It's done. It happened. Now you rebuild, not because you need to prove anything to them, but because you're done holding yourself back for someone who already let go. Heal by doing, not overthinking. The most dangerous place to live after rejection is inside your head. That's where the story's multiplier wasn't enough. If only I had done more. They've moved on, and I'm stuck. These thoughts feel real, but they're just thoughts, not facts. The best way to disrupt the loop is to take action. Do something new, not as distraction, but as transformation. Sign up for that class you've been postponing. Volunteer for something that matters. Revisit that old passion you shelved when you made room for someone else's priorities. Rejection can feel like a collapse, but it's also a clearing for you to return to yourself. Rejection says nothing about your worth. It speaks only to someone else's perception, which may be clouded by their fears, their wounds, or their immaturity. That's their story. Don't let it define yours. You don't become less valuable because someone didn't choose you. A diamond dropped in mud is still a diamond. It doesn't stop being precious just because someone didn't see it sparkle. Rejection can break your heart, but it doesn't have to break your spirit. There are parts of you no one can take: your ability to care, your capacity to grow, your will to begin again. Start there. Every time you invest in yourself, you pull back energy that was leaking into someone else's silence. Every time you create, move, or help you place another stone in the foundation of a life that is yours alone. This is the part where you stop needing closure because you've already opened the next chapter. The Stoics believed that pain arises not from events, but from our judgments of those events. Epictetus once wrote, "When someone does you wrong, it is not the act that harms you, but your opinion of it." In other words, rejection doesn't wound you, clinging to it does. Marcus Aurelius urged himself daily to return to reason. If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it. But more importantly, he also reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. This is the Stoic approach to rejection. You don't deny the sting, you observe it, but you don't let it take the throne. You ask, does this event, someone else's decision, truly change my ability to live with virtue? If the answer is no, you let it pass. You return to what's within your control, your values, your thoughts, your actions. In Stoicism, to be rejected is to be tested, not punished. And if you rise from it with calm focus and grace, then you haven't lost. You've only refined your self-mastery. When someone overlooks you, your ego will scream. It wants to be recognized. It wants someone to say, yes, we see you. You matter. And when that doesn't happen, it's tempting to complain, withdraw, or lash out in frustration. Don't waste energy resenting the silence. Use it to create noise of your own, not with words, but with results. You don't need to raise your voice to be seen. You need to raise your standards and your actions. You don't prove your value by arguing for it. You prove it by becoming the evidence of it. Let your work speak. Let your consistency speak louder. Let your calm, your clarity, and your commitment shine brighter than anyone's indifference. It doesn't matter who didn't believe in you. What matters is that you didn't stop believing in yourself. And even if no one claps, even if no one congratulates you, even if the room stays quiet, build anyway. Success built in silence often echoes the loudest. Some of the most powerful transformations happen without anyone watching. Muscles grow in rest. Ideas bloom in solitude. Confidence is born in repetition, not applause. So when people dismiss your potential, don't try to convince them otherwise, just keep building. They'll see soon enough. What's important is that you show up for yourself, that you commit to your growth, not because someone is watching, but because you know you deserve to evolve. Even if you were ignored yesterday, you can still be excellent today. Too many people wait to be invited into their greatness. They wait to be discovered, supported, approved. But what if no one ever gives you that green light? Then you make your own. You don't need someone to validate your value. You were born with it. Your work, your voice, your presence. These are not requests. They are realities. And the more you own them, the more the world is forced to adjust. So take the lead, even if no one asks you to. Solve the problem, even if no one thinks you can. Walk into rooms like you belong, because you do. When people underestimate you, they hand you an advantage, the power of surprise. Use it well. The Stoics taught that true worth is not given by others, it's recognized within. Epictetus reminded his students, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. In other words, before you seek respect, be sure you respect yourself through disciplined action. To Marcus Aurelius, being ignored was irrelevant if one was living in alignment with reason and virtue. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." Rejection and being overlooked are simply facts of life. But the Stoic doesn't take them personally, because his worth is not a reflection in someone else's eyes, it is the product of his own inner excellence. Seneca also warned against external dependence. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Being overlooked is that friction, the sharpening tool. So the Stoic response to being dismissed is not retaliation, but refinement. Not bitterness, but building. Not silence out of hurt, but silence filled with action. Because in Stoicism, dignity is not loud, it's lived. And when you embody that, your value becomes unmistakable, even to those who once failed to see it. In a world obsessed with instant replies and digital loops, silence feels like rebellion, but it's not. It's recovery. Every time you don't reach out, you're choosing peace over performance. You're choosing clarity over chaos. Cutting the cord doesn't mean you hate them. It means you love yourself enough not to chase someone who stops showing up. You don't need to keep threads alive just to avoid awkwardness or appear polite. Not every relationship deserves maintenance. Not every silence needs to be broken. Sometimes silence is the closure. By removing yourself from the cycle, the overthinking, the waiting, the wondering, you reclaim your time, your space, and your self-respect. You don't owe anyone endless access to your energy, especially those who only show up when it's convenient. The moment you stop responding, things become clearer. You start to see who respects your space and who only valued your availability. Silence isn't passive, it's architectural. It redraws the lines between you and them. It restores balance. It reminds both parties that attention is not owed, it's earned. You're not disappearing. You're grounding. You're becoming someone whose peace cannot be bargained. In a world that rewards loudness, be the quiet that changes the room. You don't have to send a paragraph explaining why you're cutting off contact. You don't need to justify your stillness to people who never pause to understand your chaos. Let them wonder. Let them fill in the blanks. That's not your burden to carry anymore. Growth often looks like this. Fewer responses, fewer explanations, fewer emotional negotiations. You're not being rude. You're being selective with your energy. And that's not cruelty, it's self-respect. Rebuild the rituals you abandoned when connection became more about survival than joy. Detachment doesn't mean numbness. It means holding space for your own life to expand again without needing someone else to notice. The Stoics believe that mastery begins with what we choose to ignore. Epictetus taught that freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. In this spirit, silence is not passive. It is the decision to release the uncontrollable. When Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or do, only what you do," he wasn't preaching indifference. He was describing the strength of focus. Cutting the cord is the modern version of that focus. Stoicism invites us to withdraw, not from the world, but from unhelpful attachments. If a connection disturbs your inner peace, the Stoic path is to step back, not with anger, but with intention. We are disturbed not by things, but by the views which we take of them, wrote Epictetus. Your silence becomes an act of sovereignty. In the face of rejection or neglect, the Stoic doesn't beg. He doesn't argue. He simply returns to his own path unshaken. That's not pride. That's principle. To cut the cord is not to abandon love. It is to choose clarity. And in that clarity, you return to yourself. When people doubt you, don't argue. Don't explain. Don't broadcast your intentions. Just work, quietly, relentlessly. There's no need to announce your goals or defend your potential. You don't owe anyone a roadmap of your comeback. You don't need their validation to grow, and you certainly don't need their applause to begin. The more silently you move, the more powerful your momentum becomes. In a world that constantly yells, whispers of action carry the deepest weight. Don't fight to be believed, become unignorable. Being doubted is not a punishment. Let their disbelief be the background noise to your progress. Don't try to convert skeptics into believers. Transform yourself into someone who no longer needs belief. You don't rise by convincing others. You rise by becoming undeniable. And that happens in the dark, not on stage. Your late night studies, your quiet discipline, the practice they never see, the sacrifices you never post. This is where the transformation brews. You don't need to post about your goals to make them real. You don't need to explain your boundaries, your new habits, your withdrawn presence. People will notice. Let them wonder. Let your glow speak before you say a word. Some of the strongest foundations are built away from the crowd. Growth doesn't need an audience. It just needs consistency. You are not here to convince. You are here to become. Your change will speak louder than your voice. Let your results speak on your behalf, not in a flashy, performative way, but in a calm, grounded, persistent presence. You used to react. Now you refine. You used to seek attention. Now you embody alignment. When you choose discipline over noise and direction over drama, you start becoming someone that even your past self wouldn't recognize in the best way. That's real success when your evolution is so real it no longer requires explanation. You are not proving them wrong, you're proving yourself are right. Don't waste energy trying to show them. That keeps your growth rooted in resentment. You'll always be chasing approval even if it's through excellence. And that's not true freedom. You're not rising to win arguments. You're rising to win peace. To feel proud of yourself in the quiet hours. To look in the mirror and know that you did the work even when no one was watching. The Stoics did not believe in shouting their virtues. They believed in living them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste time debating what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, virtue isn't proven through speeches, it's embodied through action, especially when no one is watching. Epictetus, born a slave, and rising to become a great philosopher, taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." When others doubted him, he didn't fight for validation. He became the proof of his own principles. To the Stoic, being doubted is irrelevant. Being misunderstood is expected. What matters is how you respond, or more accurately, whether you remain anchored in your values regardless of response. Seneca once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." And preparation, he knew, is quiet work. In Stoicism, success is not about impressing others. It's about mastering the self. Let your life speak where your words no longer need to. And when the world finally turns its eyes towards you, let it see someone who didn't rise by noise, but by truth. After rejection, the instinct is to retreat, to stay home, to stay quiet, to stay small. Don't. Instead, Do the opposite step outside. Breathe in a new street. Laugh, even if it feels strange at first. Cook your favorite meal. Say yes to that invitation. Book the trip, even if it's just one town over. Put on a playlist that makes your shoulders move. This isn't about pretending you're fine. It's about reminding yourself that you are alive. There's a myth that says if you're hurt, you should suffer quietly. That joy is only allowed after closure. That healing is supposed to look solemn and still. That's not true. Sometimes the most radical act of healing is letting yourself enjoy something again, even if you still feel the sting. Play is not denial, it's rebalance. Laughter doesn't erase your pain, it loosens its grip. Movement doesn't forget your past, it widens the space around it. Rejection can shrink your world, joy expands it again. You are allowed to feel everything, but you're not required to make sadness your religion. You can acknowledge the heartbreak without building your home inside it. You can let it visit and still go dancing, still go hiking, still go out for pho with your best friend and laugh about something stupid. You're not betraying your feelings by enjoying your life. You're keeping them from owning you. Even broken hearts deserve fresh air. Rejection doesn't mean you're unworthy. It just means something didn't match. That's it. But when you stay indoors too long, the pain starts to echo louder. It turns into a loop, a soundtrack, a false truth. So interrupt it. Let the sun touch your skin. Let the sidewalk carry your steps. Let your favorite people remind you that there's more to life than the story that hurt you. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. Go before you feel ready. That's how you heal. You may feel guilty the first time you laugh again. Don't. That laugh is not betrayal. It's a sign of movement. Grief is not meant to be permanent architecture. It's a tunnel, not a prison. Every joyful act, no matter how small, is a signal to your nervous system. The Stoics are often misunderstood as being emotionally cold, but their teachings reveal a deep respect for joy, not the shallow kind tied to success, but the kind rooted in virtue and clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." For the Stoics, joy was not something you chased. It was something you cultivated even in adversity, even after heartbreak. Epictetus reminded us that while we can't control events, we can choose how to meet them. And sometimes, meeting pain with presence means saying, "I will still live well. I will still taste life." Seneca said, "True joy is a serious thing, not somber, but serious in the sense that joy must be intentional, especially after loss. To go out to laugh, to dance, is not to deny what happened. It's to recenter in what remains your freedom, your values, your ability to choose your response. In Stoicism, the external world may reject you, but your inner world, your reasoned choice, your joy, your motion remains sovereign. So go out. Let nature hold you. Let life remind you the door that closed isn't the only door that exists. Social worth isn't given. It's built quietly, daily, intentionally. You don't build status by chasing recognition. You build it by becoming someone of substance. That means investing in yourself, even when no one is watching. Train your body, not for attention, but for discipline. Pursue your passions, not to impress, but to stay connected with what keeps you alive. Develop your career, not to prove anything, but to expand what you're capable of offering. These aren't vanity projects, they're inner architecture. When you build within, the outside aligns on its own. When you share your progress, don't do it to be praised. Do it to connect. Do it so others on the same path recognize a kindred spirit. Real presence doesn't shout, it radiates. And you don't need millions of followers to be influential. Influence starts in how you carry yourself, in the way your energy shifts a room, not your follower count. Post the run, document the craft, show the steps, not because you're trying to prove, but because you're trying to build real relationships with those who walk the same road. Turn self-improvement into social contribution. Your growth is not just for you. When you develop yourself, you become a more useful person for your family, your team, your community. You think more clearly. You serve more generously. You inspire more authentically. That's how social worth grows, not through reputation, but through responsibility. Your power isn't in being admired, it's in being trusted. People don't follow those who are loud. They follow those who are consistent, present, grounded. The world doesn't need another influencer. It needs more real ones. Align with people, not platforms. Don't mold yourself to fit the algorithm. Mold yourself to fit your values. The right people will find you. Share what feels real. Speak about what matters to you. Build your voice, not for virality, but for integrity. When you speak from clarity, your message cuts through the noise. And when you connect with someone through shared values, not hype, that's the foundation of a lasting social presence. You don't need to trend, you need to resonate. Social position used to mean title, fame, status. Now it can mean the way you show up in a room, the way you listen, the way you create value for others without shouting about it. In an age obsessed with performance, presence is rare and powerful. Instead of polishing your persona, polish your principles. Instead of trying to be liked, try to be useful. Instead of chasing reach, deepen your roots. When your identity is built on contribution, not clout, you can't be cancelled because you were never performing. The Stoics believed that self-mastery and service were not separate pursuits. They were one and the same. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." In other words, your personal development must also serve the collective. Seneca echoed this idea. He who benefits others benefits himself. Stoic worth was never about applause. It was about impact. They did not measure virtue by how many praised you, but by how useful and upright your life became. Epictetus reminded his students that external reputation is not within our control, but inner excellence is. So the Stoic invests in body, mind, and craft, not for image, but for integrity. He shows up for his duties. He strengthens his skills. He speaks when needed and stays silent when not. To be socially powerful, then, is not to be popular, but to be principled. It is to grow yourself in order to serve others. To build status not by demand, but by contribution. And in doing so, your value becomes undeniable, not because you shouted for attention, but because you lived with purpose. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to make a scene. You don't even need to explain why you're distancing yourself. When someone chooses to ignore you, let them. Your greatest response is none at all. They expect you to be upset. Instead, offer silence, offer absence, offer indifference so calm it unsettles them. If you must interact with them in the office, in a shared group, in unavoidable spaces, keep it professional, brief, respectful, neutral. Speak only when necessary. Answer what's asked. No added emotion, no wounded pride, no attempt to be liked. This isn't about pettiness. It's about boundaries. And maturity means knowing that not everyone deserves your warmth. You can be polite without being available. You can be kind without being close. Matching coldness with coldness may feel justified, but it only drags you into the same emotional immaturity. The higher move is not to retaliate, but to outgrow. You don't have to return the energy, just withdraw yours. You don't need closure, explanation, or revenge. You only need clarity. And sometimes clarity looks like this. You stop trying. You stop hoping. You stop reacting. You don't even flinch anymore. Distance is dignity. Walking away isn't defeat. It's defense of your peace, your energy, your time. If someone's presence keeps making you feel smaller, then your absence becomes necessary. Detaching isn't passive, it's powerful. It says, I don't need to be acknowledged to stay whole. Let them keep their silence. You'll keep your soul. Every minute you spend thinking about them, reacting to them, adjusting to their indifference, that's energy lost. Reclaim it. Use that energy to build something. Train harder. Work smarter. Laugh louder with people who actually care. Your focus is too expensive to waste on someone who treats you like an afterthought. When you act as if they don't exist, it's not bitterness, it's reallocation, putting your effort where it actually grows something. The Stoics understood the power of indifference, not as numbness, but as wisdom. Epictetus taught, some things are up to us, and some things are not. Another's behavior, not up to us, but our response, always within our command. When someone disrespects or ignores you, the Stoic approach is not to fight for recognition, but to turn inward. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, you win by staying composed, not by becoming a mirror of their weakness. Seneca advised detachment, not detachment from people entirely, but from the emotional hooks that come with pride, ego, and needing approval. He believed that serenity arises when we stop seeking from others what we ought to find in ourselves. To behave as if someone doesn't exist is not cruelty. It is alignment, a return to inner order when external chaos knocks at your door. It means your energy is no longer for sale to those who don't respect its value. In Stoicism, you do not chase people. You don't beg for space. You occupy your own fully with or without applause. And that is the quiet strength that outlasts them all. Silence isn't for punishing others. It's for finding yourself. When you stop talking, stop reacting, stop trying to control the narrative, something opens up inside you. A deeper voice emerges. One you couldn't hear when you were too busy filling space, explaining, defending, pleasing. Not to create discomfort for others, but to create understanding for yourself. Walking away from a conversation doesn't always mean surrender. Sometimes it means survival. Sometimes it means centering. You pause, not because you don't have a response, but because you value peace more than proving a point. You start to hear your true thoughts beneath the noise. You realize which emotions are yours and which ones were triggered by expectation, fear, or habit. Silence is not absence, it's space, it's strategy. It's where you decide what truly matters before letting the next word leave your mouth. In silence, you step back far enough to see the full picture. Maybe the argument wasn't about respect, it was about control. Maybe the rejection wasn't personal, it was projection. Maybe what hurt you wasn't what they said, it was what you assumed it meant. This kind of insight doesn't come from speaking louder, it comes from being still. When you stop performing emotional immediacy, trying to fix, impress, or react, you start living in emotional integrity. That's the difference between reacting and responding. One is immediate, the other is earned through silence. Silence protects your energy. Not everything needs your voice. Not every challenge requires a rebuttal. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is not answer, not because you don't care, but because you've outgrown the need to engage. And often the long game is built in quiet. While others chase attention, you're conserving focus. While others speak without thinking, you're thinking without speaking. Not every invitation to conflict deserves your presence. Mastery is measured by restraint. People may misinterpret your silence. Let them. They'll assume you're weak, or bitter, or unsure. But that's their discomfort speaking, not your truth. Mastery isn't about dominating a room. It's about commanding your own nervous system. Choosing not to be dragged into chaos. Choosing to stay grounded while others spiral. Silence isn't emptiness. It's the stage where your next version begins rehearsing. The Stoics deeply valued silence not as retreat, but as strength. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." For the Stoic, speech should be thoughtful, intentional, and rare, never impulsive. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself in his private journal, reminded, "If you are troubled by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your judgment of them, and it is in your power to wipe out that judgment." Silence in this case becomes the first step in mastering judgment. When we stop speaking, we start observing. And when we observe clearly, we can act wisely. Seneca also warned against being too eager to speak. Speech, he said, should be reserved for when it improves upon silence. To the Stoics, silence is a strategy of the wise. It is not passive avoidance, but active self-command. It is space to process, to align, to return to what matters: reason, virtue, and inner peace. Attention may feel like validation, but it's often just noise. It rises fast, but fades faster. And the cost? You start performing your life rather than living it. When you're overlooked, resist the urge to do more just to be seen. Instead, redirect your energy inward. That's where real worth is built, not in the spotlight, but in solitude. You are not a product. You are not an advertisement for approval. You're not here to entertain the ones who forgot your value. Pull your energy back from the places it leaks, the people you try to impress, the social platforms you use to beg for recognition, the moments you twist yourself into someone you're not. You don't need to be noticed to be real. You just need to be honest and committed to your own depth. Let them overlook you. While they're distracted, you're building something they won't see coming. There's a difference between a life that looks good and a life that feels good. When you stop seeking attention, you start designing a life that nourishes you. You move differently. You say no more often. You protect your peace, your passions, and your time. You don't post every win because it's not for show. You don't perform your confidence because you're actually living it. Your focus shifts from reaction to creation, from competition to contribution, from "who's watching me" to "what do I love enough to do, even if no one ever sees it." You don't need an audience to start. You need alignment. Let your morning routines be sacred, even if no one claps. Let your projects matter, even if no one is watching. Let your growth be internal, first deep-rooted and steady. Eventually the world will notice, but by then you'll no longer need it to, because you've already found what matters: peace, discipline, direction, and those can't be given by applause, only by effort. If someone has to be convinced to care about you, their attention is already empty. Stop watering dead plants. Stop chasing shallow praise. You're not supposed to be liked by everyone, especially not by those who only notice you when you shine extra bright. Let those seasons teach you who sees your soul, even when you're not performing. Let them reveal who was never really looking. And in that space, return to yourself. That's the only audience that stays. The Stoics warned against building self-worth on external recognition. Epictetus taught, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, do not depend on praise. Often growth is misunderstood, and true development happens without applause. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, reminded himself, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." His writings reveal a deep truth. We lose ourselves when we obsess over being seen. Seneca urged us to live by inner principles, not outer validation. He wrote, "He who is too busy with what others think will never be free." The Stoic path is not one of cold detachment, but of clear sovereignty. Your value must come from how well you align your actions with virtue, not with visibility. So when you're ignored, overlooked, or dismissed, Do not seek attention to feel alive. Return inward. Build your strength in silence, guys. Live a life that speaks for itself. You can smile without surrendering yourself. You can greet someone without giving them access to your heart. You can remain polite, warm and composed, and still protect your emotional well-being. Kindness doesn't mean emotional exposure. Respect doesn't mean emotional investment, especially when the other person is cold, dismissive, or distant. Your role is not to match their behavior or fix it. Your role is to remain grounded in who you are while keeping your energy safe. Don't let their coldness infect your spirit. Just because someone treats you with indifference doesn't mean you must respond in kind. Emotional maturity is knowing how to balance grace with boundaries. But don't give them your joy, your warmth, your full attention unless they've earned it. You can care about people without carrying their weight. You can treat others well without handing over your center. The cost of being too open, too generous with your emotions is exhaustion, especially with people who take and never give. Not everyone deserves your emotional vulnerability. Not everyone should be allowed to influence how you feel. You can hold space for someone without letting them occupy yours. Kindness can be disarming, but it should never be confused with availability. You're not obligated to explain yourself. You don't owe full emotional access just because you're polite. You can decline without being cruel. You can detach without being cold. The key is clarity. Clarity about who gets your time. Clarity about who deserves your empathy. Clarity about what energy you want to keep in your life. Don't close off your heart. Just don't leave the gate wide open for everyone. In a world where people either shut down or overexpose, learning to live in the middle is a skill. That skill is quiet but powerful. To speak with warmth but not weakness. To offer decency without dependency. To remain open-hearted but not wide open. This is not emotional coldness, it's emotional clarity. And it's how you protect your peace while still showing up as a good person. The Stoics believed in treating all people with dignity, but never at the cost of one's inner stability. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself, said, "Be tolerant with others, strict with yourself." He wasn't advocating for being passive or distant. He was calling for compassion rooted in self-control. Epictetus taught, "Keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern. That includes your thoughts, values, and reactions, but not the moods, expectations, or coldness of others." Seneca too warned of emotional overexposure. He wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." Stoic kindness is not about people-pleasing, it's about principle. You remain courteous not to win favor, but because it reflects your character. But at the same time, the Stoic draws clear lines. He does not give his peace to those who do not value it. He does not entangle his emotions with those who drain him. To be kind and emotionally clear is not a contradiction, it is mastery. And it's in that balance, warmth with distance, that a Stoic lives freely, without resentment and without regret. Rejection stings, and the natural instinct is to talk about it, to be seen, to be understood, to gain comfort through empathy. But sometimes, sharing your pain too early or too openly can leave you more exposed, not less, especially when you share it with people who don't truly care. So don't rush to confess your hurt just to fill the silence. Instead, let yourself heal inwardly, quietly. Not because pain must be hidden out of shame, but because not everyone deserves access to your vulnerability. There's power in holding your pain with dignity. You don't need to tweet it. You don't need to call everyone. You don't need to over-explain why you feel off. Let your routine remain steady. Let your posture stay tall. Let your energy stay focused. Not because you're faking anything, but because you're practicing inner strength, the kind that doesn't beg for recognition. You're not pretending you're unhurt. You're choosing to hurt with intention. Your heartbreak, your disappointment, your private confusion, these don't have to be performed. They don't need external validation to be real. They are real because you feel them, and they are valid even in silence. Let people wonder. Let them think you're unaffected. That's not your concern. Your concern is healing, recentering, and not wasting emotional truth on an audience that doesn't know how to hold it gently. The strongest act after rejection is not collapse, it's continuation. Keep showing up for your responsibilities. Keep studying. Keep working out. Keep honoring your goals. But because your life deserves your loyalty, even on the days your heart is tired, your discipline will carry you where your emotions cannot. Choose privacy over pity. You don't need pity. You need purpose. When you withhold your pain from casual eyes, you're not suppressing it. You're respecting it. You're giving it a safe container. You're letting it transform, not leak. Some emotions need solitude to evolve. Some scars heal better in silence. And when the time comes, you'll speak about this pain, but not from a place of collapse. From a place of calm, from the other side. The Stoics did not deny pain, but they taught us to contain it with discipline. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, no stranger to grief and betrayal, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke." To the Stoics, public expressions of pain were often rooted in ego, a need for sympathy or validation. But inner mastery comes from learning to endure without exhibition. Epictetus taught that the only true good lies in virtue, and the way we carry ourselves, especially in difficulty, reveals our philosophy more than any words can. He advised, don't explain your philosophy, embody it in practice. This means keep walking, keep working, keep speaking with respect. You don't need to showcase your suffering to process it. To withhold your pain from the spotlight is not weakness, it is reverence for your own emotional life. And in that quiet, the Stoic builds something more durable than comfort character, composure, and the unshakable calm of someone who has nothing to prove, only something to live by. Rejection doesn't mean it's over. It simply means it's time to pause, reflect, and shift. Think of every rejection not as a period, but as a semicolon, a reminder that your story continues, a chance to return to yourself, to recenter, to grow stronger, quieter, clearer. You weren't denied because you weren't enough. You were redirected because something in you was meant to evolve. Use that rejection as fuel. Pick up a new skill. Revisit an old passion. Say yes to something you were too afraid to try. Don't shrink for the sake of approval. Expand for the sake of becoming. Live as Marcus Aurelius taught, with calmness in chaos, strength in silence, and zero dependence on outside validation. You don't need applause to keep going. You only need alignment. So here's your invitation. Have you ever experienced a rejection that changed your life for the better? Share your story in the comments. You never know who it might inspire. And if you're still finding your words, just type resilient in adversity. It's a quiet way to say, I'm still standing and I'm ready to move forward. Let's remind each other this isn't the end. It's just the turning point.